Hey everybody, Julie Quinn here. I'm going to go through and show you just some super basics for Zoom. You could go on to any of the Canvas links or the Zoom links that you've gotten in the Start Kit or from Bo Yang or some earlier ones from myself. And you can find a lot of material on the web for how to set it up. But let me show you what it looks like from the VCCS view. So I'm in my training shell right now, and you'll notice that you see Zoom in the white toolbar. You may not have it in your toolbar yet. Let me show you how to put it in your toolbar so then you know where to go and you know where to tell your students to go when you start using this for those online meetings. Click on Settings, and then under your tabs, choose the Navigation tab. Now your Zoom is actually going to appear somewhere all the way down here. If you've not used it before in class, this is normal. So it's a tool that's available, but you have to make it viewable. So drag it above so students can see it, and don't forget to click Save. Once you do that, now you have quick access to the tool. When you click into the tool, this is where you get a chance to set up. You can see that I've got a training already set up. This is what it looks like for when I do an online training with faculty next week. That I'm just going to do a walk-in clinic. I've got it set up. I even have the time and date and everything preset. So here's how you can set up your events. So we're going to go to here, schedule a Zoom meeting. And of course you could click here to see all of your recordings. Don't have many. We're going to schedule a new meeting. I don't have many in this shell. So topic could be Week 10 classes. You really don't need to enter a description if you don't want to. This would be the time that you're going to run it next week. So we're going back to school on Wednesday. Say I'm going to run this at 2:30. Imagine that's when my class starts. The duration. Always add the duration for a little bit longer than you plan on meeting, just in case. You don't have to stay that long. Say you plan on meeting for an hour. You don't want to be cut off in the middle of a thought. You want to give it a couple of extra minutes. Now, recurring meetings. If you're planning on being live with those students, click the recurring meeting. And instead of it being daily, it could be weekly. Even if you were scheduled to meet students Monday, Wednesday, you may decide that you're only going to meet them live once a week, which I think is fair for the first couple of weeks. And then you could do phone conferences and you could do online discussions and different things to show presence. But that may be a lot for students, a lot for you to ask of your students for them to be live twice a week. Remember, they may be sharing computers with family members. They may not have access issues. And so I actually think that if you meet twice a week, one live is all you need. And then you could use Studio to record some videos that they could still watch on their phone and they could still be engaged. So don't try to overplan this and imagine that, oh, we're just going to go online for that entire time. Your students just may not have the accessibility that we do. And I got a recent email from our my dean that talked about connectivity, and I heard some discussions today in my household even about how the connectivity in the office at Nova is so much faster. So think about that as you're planning how often you want to meet with your students. So say, for example, you're going to meet with them every Tuesday. You could even choose an end date, and I saw maybe you decide to just run it for the foreseeable future. We'll say after 8 occurrences, and then you'll shut it down. That will probably cover us for the next 8 weeks. Okay, video is off automatically, which is probably smart for bandwidth reasons and participant. When you have 30 students, you actually don't want to see all of their webcams. It's going to slow everything down. So keep these settings here. You can turn yours on manually when you're inside the session. Audio can be telephone and computer. That is wildly important because some of your students may only have a data plan, and or they may not have the finances to afford to do a couple hours a week with all of their classes. And so this gives us an opportunity to give students a phone number to dial in so they can listen in on those lectures. So that's great, right? So I wouldn't require a meeting password. They can join before the host. That's great for students if they need to test their mics and their headsets and stuff like that. You can mute them on entry, which is not a bad idea, especially if you have 25, 30 people, and then you can give directions that first time. please plan for a lot of problems. The first class, students figuring out their software, people behind them talking, dogs barking, all of that happens. And of course, record the meeting automatically in the cloud, and then you can provide that link to your students when you're done. So if they can't be there live because of conflict with another sibling who's also trying to do classwork, they can still go back and watch it, right? So I think these are really good settings. Once you set it all up, we've got the URL that you can give to your students, but they can also come into Zoom. They'll be able to look it up by time and date. They can find it. There are these invitations. So audio is television, not television, telephone, so on and so forth. So you get the chance to see all of that information right there. Okay, so I was on a Zoom meeting on my phone just last week, and it was really interesting. Once I downloaded the software from my phone, it prompted me to join in for audio or to choose a phone call. So if you're subscribed to the call add-on, that may be something that you need to consider doing. But you could also click call me, and then you can put your number in there. It will call you and put you into the call. So at the bottom of this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to link to the Zoom Help Center. This link, but for joining a meeting by phone, because there's all sorts of different ways to join in, and I don't want to go through all of that at the moment, but I want students and faculty to know that this is an option for your students. And so they can join in through iPhones, iPads, Android devices, and all of that. So that makes things really, really helpful. So I'm just going to go into a meeting to show you what it looks like, even though I'm going in a little early. So I'm launching it. Join with computer audio. That will be prompted for anybody who's going on through their computer. And then there's that phone call option. So students, even on their phone, will get that option. So if you do that, then they have the dial number, and then they have the meeting ID, and then they can join in from their phone. Okay. So I'm going to expand this. Now, these are the basic bits and pieces of Zoom, and it's a lot like Collaborate Ultra. You'll notice the recording is here on the top left. If you need to pause for any reason, you can stop. We've got quick links for join audio information on sharing screen and inviting others. The URL, if students forget where to go, you could shoot this into an announcement email for everybody. You'll notice that I am the only person in here at the moment. And again, invite is down here. So there's some redundancy. You see join audio. Here's where you can turn on and off your video. And then you've got some settings, and you can even play with a virtual background. I'm not going to actually join the audio at the moment. There's a chat that will appear. You'll see all of your attendees over here. And then there's a chat message. Let's see. And you'll be able to see everybody in here. And that's pretty cool. And you, again, redundant buttons for pausing and stopping recording. The place that you'll probably spend most of your time on Zoom is here under this share screen. So you click it, and you can either get your own screen. So say you're navigating your Canvas class for your students. We could share my screen. I could share a whiteboard. I could link to my iPhone or my iPad. I could link to files that I have open, all these different little things that I've got open at the moment. I could do any of that. So let's go into the whiteboard, because I know a lot of our faculty, especially our math faculty, will probably be in here. I think that I was playing around with this on my Nova iPad, and I was able to use this no problem on the iPad. I was able to use my pencil, and I was able to write in it. So Zoom is a good option for our science faculty, somebody who's teaching anything drawing related. Now I'm doing this with my mouse, and this is not going to be, very easy for me, but this is something that I can do. You can erase pretty quickly. You can type in text, you can stamp, you can do all sorts of things on the screen. And students can also use the whiteboard. So you could demonstrate something and students can do it. Please note, though, that if students are using their mouses, it's going to be hard for them to maneuver in the whiteboard and to make it legible without some practice, just as an FYI. So my recommendations here for now, this is not going to be an actual Zoom tutorial. It's just sort of an FYI for where it is. What you can then do is make it available on your menu. You can show students where it is, and you can practice. You can even send invites to, like you could do a practice shell that you don't tell students about. You can send an invite to myself, to a friend or family member, and you can go in and practice with the software. Remember, some of the best practices that you should be doing when you're here in Zoom is have students use headsets so you don't hear echoes of yourself talking through their speakers. Make sure to ask them to have a mic, and if they don't have a mic, they can absolutely use the chat. And allow for failure. I know that sounds really crazy, but the first time you use it, it's going to be real awkward. And that's okay. I know that there are Zoom trainings coming up. Please check your email. VCCS is rolling out a ton of Zoom trainings in Zoom, which is perfect. You've got to get into that software to practice it. You want to continue to practice, let me know. We can set up some time to do that. But this is what it is. It's synchronous meeting software that you can meet with your students in real time. You could also do some lecture work in here, although I think I would prefer Studio for that for a couple of reasons, but I guess it depends on what you're teaching. Just reach out to me and let me know if you have questions, and we can brainstorm how to use this in your class, and we can practice together. Good luck. Take care.